Alright, welcome back to the AoE2 Admirals League, and we've got Vinchester here in the purple trunks. Up today against Barles in the blue trunks. So we're here on Fish and Fish, which has actually got all these fishing pools you can get to both from the land and also take a dock. But the ships are actually going to be under a lot of pressure from land units potentially, considering how much of the water here is actually shallows you can walk on. Like obviously these little stretches here you might not be able to, but all these bits with like all this green growth on top of the water, you know, infantry, range, cavalry can all mobilize and move over that, just like the villagers can. So back to the matchup, we've got a Japanese pick here from Vinchester, who they're a really nice fishing ship civ. In fact, they're tanky fishing ships, which is going to be especially important on a map like this for aforementioned reasons. Cheaper mills and mining and lumber camps, which is always handy, but I think particularly on a water map, considering you've already got to commit all this extra wood to try and get that water eco and actually make use of that fishing ship bonus. And then they're also just a really nice infantry civ. No real bonuses. Oh, there we go. They have one bonus, sorry, in the attack speed increase from feudal onwards. Obviously be a bit Ember and Dark Age because they'd be the best best militia rushing civ by a mile. They've also got slightly stronger towers and trebuchets. Galleys have line of sight bonus, which on a map like this probably isn't so important, considering you're generally going to be fighting in one direction on the water, but on island maps in particular I think that'd be pretty handy. I actually missed their infantry bonus at first, I didn't think they had one. So we've got Byzantines here to pick for Barles in the blue trunks, who's got tankier buildings, which might be really useful for those docks, because they're also going to be under a bit of pressure like the fishing ships. But the player's actually going for a forward mill here, and we've got a barracks here from Vinchester. We'll no doubt see one from Barles, although he is trying to commit to a dock already. So that's going to really be chancing his arm with this forward fishing. But getting back to Byzantines, we've got cheaper camels as well as trash units. So they're really nice civ. Once all this gold starts to run out, they've really got an advantage there. Cheaper Imperial Age as well, so that's also going to mean just taking up in general to get to those later ages is especially easy for them. And then bonus range on the fire ships as well, which is very handy in the event that the players are mostly committing to the water in the early mid game. But with this early barracks here from Vinchester, he'll be able to get probably 3 man-at-arms. No, sorry, militia. I keep calling them man-at-arms, but they actually change name from militia to man-at-arms when you take that feudal upgrade. So it's a bit of a hangover from playing a bit too much AoE4. I haven't played a lot lately, unfortunately, but I guess I can always start doing so once again. And yeah, over here guys, we don't hate on the other games in the series. We just talk about why we prefer our favourites. Okay? Let's not be toxic. So defensive watchtower here for Barles, who's going to be able to hold out against these early militia, but it's also going to mean on a map like this, Vinchester does have the opportunity to go for one of his own, or even just do a worker pull to help try cut through the palisades quicker, take down the tower quicker. So Vinchester going for a range because he'll be able to pick at the villages anyway, unless they're garrisoned. As well as also be able to harass this wood line. Park some there and force Barles to have to try and work his way around his base and also wall off with that wood eco. So it really puts pressure on him and slows down all the acquisition of these fishing boats. Barles is going to get a single fire galley here and just use it to patrol the waterline, just try and scare off any potential dock builders of Vinchester. To offset the fact that Vinchester's got a little bit of an advantage here on the land in terms of the military, so Barles is going to have the onus on him to try and wall in his base quicker. But look at Vinchester's base. There's no way he's walling in all this shit. Especially when he's committed all these houses just out in open space. But these ones aren't so badly positioned. I think he only needs a palisade there. And then, you know, can just ramp around, protect the berries, and use the berries as part of the wall. We've got man-at-arms upgrade, but we're unlikely to see Vinchester really commit to too many man-at-arms. He's probably just going to pump all of his resources into archers here. And this way he can also work away at these fishermen trying to take out the tower. Also try and punish the builders here a little bit easier. Just waiting for an opportunity to try and break through here. It seems that Barles is aware that he was about to chop through this tree, so he's going to chop another one, because in this game, even if the trees are knocked down to be cut from, which is a mechanic that AoE2 and 4 both have, you can't just walk over the cut down tree like you can in AoE4. Meanwhile, AoE0 and AOM and AoE3, while the tree still has some resources in it, your villagers just have to chop at it and they're going to start gathering. So, there's a little pathway that's been found here by Vinchester's units. So he's going to start picking away at these woodchoppers of Barles, who is trying to just get as many repairers off his opponent here as he can. And just sort of eat the fact that he's going to lose a villager or two here, but then have potentially got the opportunity to try and wall this in a little bit more. Protect these other vills. So one of them falls, the other one's going to make it back. The town centre, and you know, while all this battling's going on both the towers and here, the players looking to make sacrifices. Like these guys probably tanking a bit too much town centre fire instead of backing out there. But on the plus side, for Vinchester, it looks like he's managed to bring down Barles' tower, force him to have to commit, trying to defend with pretty much land units alone and just be really careful. While Vinchester's going to try and just palisade wall off the mill there. Try and prevent gathering and make it harder for these skirmishers to navigate as well. It's always funny the amount of quick walling and preemptive walling that goes on in AoE2. It's a bit more of an art form in this game compared to the others. It doesn't really happen all that much in the other games. And I think it is ultimately either harder to pull off or less useful or both in pretty much all the other games in the series, which is why you don't see it done so much. Like palisade walls in this take very little time to cut down, but stone walls and regular buildings quite hard to bring down. And on top of that, even palisade walls, the amount of repair rate just really negates 3 or 4 military units hacking away at it from only, you know, 1 or 2 villages repairing. So it ends up being quite a useful skill to have. AoE2, and it's sort of not really all that important in the other games, except for in some very specific situations. Looks like this has been a worthwhile fishing expedition for Barles, but at the same time, he has been forced off the mill here. So Vill pops are pretty much even though, because of how many villager kills Vinchester's gotten out of the process of this. He's offset the 3 fishing boat creation there. Bearing in mind, Barles has had to commit to the dock and that warship as well to really drive home that bonus. So Man-at-Arms really solid against the skirmishers, and reasonably good against archers as well, but particularly good against skirmishers, you know, only just doing like 3 damage a hit. And on top of that, they have to try and engage from further back. But these archers, it's up shit creek now. Vinchester's probably relying on those man-at-arms delaying things a little bit longer, but Barles, some nice control on his skirmishers just to make sure all of them were getting the attacks in, while minimising the amount of damage that they were also taking. Vinchester even trying to stand on top of the skirmishers just to slow down the amount of attacks they're fitting in against him, because the archers, no minimum attack range. Now Vinchester's going to restart man-at-arms production, and now out of 2 barracks. Be because he's made Barles really double down here on skirmishes rather than going for, say, I don't know, scout cavalry or archers himself. Man-at-arms in particular are going to be very effective here. It's a big flood of them and fairly even numbers to those skirmishes. You know, get a couple of easy kills and force Barles to now play on the back foot, who's fit in double dock here to try and spam out galleys to offset the one fire galley production that Barles will have available. So it doesn't look like Barles has really started to add more warships yet, which really means that Vinchester can just get two or three quick fire galleys here and take a solid fight or two. So the fishing ship being forced in here, Vinchester not paying attention to the fight and actually losing the fire ship before his opponent does. Because the fishing ship in the way ends up drawing the aggro of the fire galley there. Of Vinchester's, so Barles. It's an easy kill there. Both players back down to one fire galley and Barles now restarting fire galley production. So Vinchester trying to raid Barles. He's now able to wall off this rear side and actually protect the wood line completely here. Quite nice because he's fanned out across to try and get as much wood as possible to be able to afford archer and warship production. Again, he's momentarily cut his warship production. Actually, I think he might just be giving up on it, considering Vinchester's committed to 3 fire ships and the 2 docks as well. So Barles fitting in Castle Age. Vinchester also hitting Castle Age. Vinchester able to nab some villager kills, and now with several fire galley advantage, he should be able to take out those fishing ships quite quickly. Oh, Barles is going to restart fire galley production once again. He's got to be very careful if he wants to make more than one trip home here with these fishing ships, otherwise Vinchester's going to pick them all off. But it looks as though Vinchester has found an opening in the wall off, while Barles navigating around to try and hit his opponent, considering Vinchester, with little pressure on him so far, has played very aggressively and greedily with his base layout, whereas Barles just about completely walled in now, and he has managed to win this little fight here. He's down by 5 villager pop though. He's going to start losing another 4 with those fishing boats going down, unless he can fit in enough warships to actually force his opponent back here on the water. Both players hitting Castle Age. Barles only has the 1 fire ship, and Vinchester, he really needs to worry about making any more warships for the time being. Vinchester now trying to go for this castle drop on his opponent. So he's played off the front foot all game, and I guess this is really trying to drive home everything so far for him, because he'll be able to deny this gold mine, which is the main gold mine there of Barles, so the one worth the most overall value. Like, it's what, 8 tiles versus 3, so 8 by 800 is a lot bigger than 3 by 800, particularly considering Vinchester might not even be able to gather from that once he clears out some of this. But Barles, not to be outdone, trying to attack multiple villages, prevent as much build time as possible, rather than outright killing the villagers. Sometimes it's actually quicker, just to make sure they're able to get as little building off as possible. It looks like Barles is going to be able to deny this just about. Yeah, he will be able to deny it. For now, he's even going to get more villagers. Vinchester's streamed in, they're going to be a little bit late. He needs to get 4%, but I think he'll get 1, and that'll be done. Vinchester committing another 5 villagers to this. 6 villagers, sorry. He should be able to get this. It's so close, he doesn't want to have to cancel it. He doesn't matter how much eco he sacrifices here as long as he gets it built. In his mind, anyway. But I mean, he has seemingly won back the water from his opponent. And GG. Barles having to tap out there, because yeah, Vinchester now having won back the water. That castle finishing up, even though he's down by a couple of vills, he lost an awful lot of vills trying to get that up. Barles did a great job at trying to take off as many workers as possible. Unfortunately, not able to lay the castle enough, and Vinchester sending another half a dozen vills, finishing off that castle drop. And considering how difficult it is to try and get on these exterior golds on a map like this, where your opponent's sort of front on from you, and if he just steps forward as he attacks, basically, it just chokes you out once he gets that castle drop off. So GG, well played, guys.